This podcast is brought to you by Audible. Now, Audible is the #1 audiobook platform in the entire world. Now, why I really like this is because audiobooks are great for learning on the go while you're working out, while you're driving, or doing any miscellaneous tasks. Instead of doing something mindless, we can actually be learning and adding to our knowledge base. And you know that we're all about being the greatest versions of ourselves here. And part of that is learning more, applying it, and progressing in our own lives. I've read over 400 books just this past couple of years on Audible. You can find anything that you want here. Any type of genre, any type of book. The membership includes 1 free credit a month, which is basically 1 free book per month. And books here tend to be much more cheaper than you would have them physically. If you want to try Audible today, you go to audibletrial.com/AG Wellness. That's AUDIBLETRIAL.com/AG Wellness. That is where you'll get your first month for free. Now, let's get to the podcast. Thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, testing, environmental triggers, and how to have a healthy thyroid. So what is the thyroid exactly? It is a butterfly-shaped gland at the base of your neck. It's responsible for metabolism, temperature regulation, bone health, and so much more. The main hormones that it releases are T3, or thyroxine, and T4, or triiodothyronine. Now, I guess that name from iodine. The iota means that it's bound to iodine. And T3 gets converted to T4 in the liver. And the T3 is the most responsible for the functions of the thyroid. Now, how do we actually go about testing the thyroid? Most conventional tests are just using TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone. Now, this is not good enough at all. This simply tests just for the amount of hormones that the thyroid is being called to produce. This marker may be normal even after 10 years of having Hashimoto's. We also want to test for thyroid antibodies such as TPO and TG. These actually let you know if your thyroid is being attacked or not. Now, the free T3 and T4 actually let you know what the hormones are being used for in the receptors. So now, what is Hashimoto's? This is an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. Now, most people with thyroid disease happen to have this particular disease. So why does the thyroid attack itself? Well, your body is actually trying to help you. There's something in the body called molecular mimicry, right? So this is when you eat certain foods that cause leaky gut, such as gluten, lectins, saponins, basically wrecking the integrity of the gut. And over time, what happens is that undigested food can make it into your bloodstream. Now, it's not supposed to be there, all right? So your body goes and destroys it, the immune system. So that's good, it's all good. But over time, the immune system tags the protein sequence in the food and then attacks anything that looks similar to it. So if you have AABB, say in chicken or something like that. Now, if your thyroid has something similar to that, it's also going to attack that. And genetics kind of play a role in this, depending on what autoimmune disease arises. So other causes could be infections and environmental toxins. So what other things disrupt the thyroid? Fluoride. Now, fluoride can impair thyroid function. It was actually originally developed as a thyroid suppressing medication at 2 to 5 milligrams per day. It was never really used for that because they created something better rather quickly. So what's important to understand is that there are 2 different types of fluoride. You got sodium fluoride and calcium fluoride. Now, calcium fluoride is naturally occurring. This is in like spring water, certain foods. So that's all good, usually. But now sodium fluoride is the issue. Now, this was the drug, and it's also what they happen to put in the water, and what they use in dentistry, and it's just nonsense. So this is actually a direct violation of our consent to take a drug. Now, they say it's from like industry waste products, and they're just kind of save money and all that. Well, if you're drinking fluorinated water every day, you're drinking enough to suppress your thyroid. Many countries have banned the use of fluoride in water. It's been shown to damage bones, cause the mental lake system, and also thyroid dysfunction. Next, we have BPA, which is a chemical that is found in plastic. It is a well-known endocrine disruptor, or disrupting our hormones. It suppresses the thyroid and mounts an antibody response. It's been shown to disrupt hormone responses related to the thyroid. Now, a study done in toxicology in vitro showed that it had disrupted hormone pathways and signaling in response to the BPA. So a lot of manufacturers has caught on to this, and they're saying BPA free, but they're adding other things in there that are very similar. So like BPS, BPN, which are pretty much the same thing. Most people don't know that. So avoid those as well. I mean, avoiding plastic altogether as much as you can is a good idea, but of course, like, we probably need to use it at some point in today's world. And you do, I would look for number 2 or 3 plastic. Those are usually the safest. So another thing is heavy metals. Heavy metal accumulation can cause significant thyroid impairment. Most people with some type of autoimmune disease usually have some type of heavy metal toxicity. So these also can be found in many things: dental supplies, fish, and there's just a lot of things like personal care products you just might be aware of. So I think it's important to also talk about the liver in the response to the thyroid, because it's responsible for detoxing all these chemicals that we talk about. Also, the conversion of T4 into T3. So this is important to make on holistic health. Everything is interconnected. So if you have a thyroid issue, strengthening everything around it, the organs that are responsible downstream and upstream, are also very important, because in order to attain full body wellness, you can't just isolate one organ. And this is one of the problems with the Synthroid medication, is that not everyone is able to convert T4 into T3 properly. So most of the time it doesn't work well. We should also discuss stress. Now, chronic stress can lead to a hyper-vigilant immune system also attacking the body's own tissue. Sleep deprivation is the fast route to chronic stress. When we deprive the body of natural inputs, such as sleep, nutrition, and exercise, all things that our body requires to stay healthy, this puts in enormous stress. And now it's at a deficit, and has to do all these things to make it up. The thing is that the body is very intelligent, and it'll do its very best with what it has. But why not stack the deck in our own favor? Let's go over a few nutrients that are really important for the thyroid. So selenium, which is very important for hormone production of the thyroid. Then we got thiamine, or B1, which helps reduce thyroid symptoms. Then magnesium, which is rapidly depleted in thyroid disease. Ferritin, which is an iron storage protein. Having normal levels of iron doesn't necessarily mean that ferritin levels are normal. This can be depleted through infections, not enough stomach acid to absorb, or just not taking in proper nutrients. Another is iodine, which is very important, and again, which is how the hormones get their name. So now with iodine, this is something you definitely don't want to overdo. Taking about 150 milligrams a day is good. Micrograms, that is. And essentially, if we take too much, that can actually cause thyroid problems as well. So we need to strike a balance with this. Some other sources are like seaweeds, trace amounts in certain vegetables. But again, we want to be careful of the source, because seaweed can also contain a lot of contaminants as well. So just be mindful of that. So the point of this episode is to understand that the body is designed to heal itself. Yes, we may have a chronic disease, but the ultimate question we need to ask ourselves is that, can we get well? And if we believe in our heart that we can, then we're going to ask the right questions, which are going to lead us to the right actions, which leads us to the right results. Most people don't even understand that they can get well, which is why they end up taking medication their whole life. Now, again, that has its place, but unfortunately, it never clears up all the symptoms completely, and you're left dependent on a thing externally. So natural healing is the best solution, and the power is within our hands.